Please join me in welcoming to the stage the men of the hour, Flatland Cavalry. So what did you guys think? That was good, right? We're missing one. Did we lose Adam? And Reed. You know
He'll be here
what?
shortly.
That's okay, we'll start with Adam. Obviously, this is the first formal showing of the documentary, but we wanted to get a chance for you guys to watch it, right? Before anybody else did. And I don't want to misquote you, Cleto, but you said something along the lines of, you know, this is the truest telling of our story. And I wonder if you might just be able to kind of, sitting here with your family and being back here in Lubbock, what are you thinking? What are you feeling being able to share this with all of them?
I feel like it's a dream come true to, as hard as we've worked for the last decade, and wherever the other guys are at, listening downstage. We worked really hard for over 10 years, and earnestly, something that we learned through Scott Ferris was keep your nose to the grindstone and do good work, and for you all to tell our story, and for all you folks to show up and listen to it, and it's just a beautiful thing. So thank you all for taking the time to tell the story, and we couldn't have done a better job. There they are.
There they are. One of the things that I think just really breathes a lot of life into the story, though, is the old footage from the beginning. Did you supply that, or where did that come from? Jason, were you part of that too?
Sure.
Oh.
You're good. Check. All right. So you asked about the footage. I'm not exactly sure. I believe there was a camera from the early days right after high school. Roy, our manager, he had one. Is that right?
Yeah, I was cleaning out a little toolbox of mine back at home and found this old Kodak digital recorder, and I'd bought like an old aftermarket like battery charger thing, and I'd never tried to use it, so I plugged it into the wall and charged it, and it came to life, and sent it to Thomas immediately, and it had all the footage of the stories. It just substantiated all the stories that we told initially and during those interview process.
It's like the Lost Scrolls or something.
Yeah.
I love it because I think that, you know, lots of people in this room would probably wish that they had, you know, footage like that to kind of reflect on their journey. And I think about the young men that you were driving in that car and like not knowing the adventure that you were really about to start. And one of the things that I think is really beautiful is just the image of you all playing at Red Rocks and just to see Flatland Cavalry, and it says Lubbock, Texas on the bottom. And I think you articulated it really well in this story, Jason, but I wonder if you might just kind of talk about why that specifically is important, that Lubbock is represented and you take it with you everywhere that you go in that really formal way.
I believe Lubbock, West Texas in general. I grew up in Midland, Odessa, lived in a small town in Seminole, just south of here. This area in general is so isolated. Now that I see we go coast to coast, the special culture here is the values and the beliefs that, to me, it's like you can still work hard, be good to your neighbor, and find success. And I don't think that's everywhere. I find that really special here, and it's something that is worth taking with you and throwing on your back, anywhere you go.
And I think too, it's really powerful to think about the fact that you guys really had the opportunity with your gifts to go anywhere, and you chose to kind of be here. And Reed, for you, I'll have you take that mic from Jason. I just wonder if you might kind of be able to talk about, that moment where you're sharing the story of being back in Lubbock and you kind of like have this relatable moment where you say, I had an $11 tab and I couldn't pay it, so I had to have Jason bail me out. And I wonder, what you would say to like the young man that you were then about kind of life is your oyster. You can go anywhere that you want to go, and yet this is the place that gave you all the things that you needed and all the people that you needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I would probably tell younger me that your dream is literally going to come true. You're going to be able to play music for a living, and not only that, but you're going to be able to play with your best friends, which, I mean, that's the cherry on top, which is really awesome. And tech has always been kind of a legacy in my family. I have a couple cousins out in the crowd. Yeah. And there's
The wave, the soft
how many
wave, and-
cousins have gone here now? Like 20 something? A lot. There's been a lot. So that I'm on this stage right now with the band, you know, my best friends that I'm in a band with is pretty crazy. And that I'm, you know, we had a documentary made about us by, you know, the university that I grew up watching football games with my dad and my brothers and all that stuff. It's just pretty surreal. So yeah, I would tell them, you made it, dude. Good job.
Did you have a moment in particular that was your favorite from the documentary? And all of it is not the answer. It's
No, that's
an
not the
approved
answer. I'm gonna have to say, yeah, what you mentioned, that I had an $11 tab and I couldn't pay it, and Jason was that night. Jason was like so consoling about it, like older
Like,
brother
dude.
energy, just like, dude, it's gonna
I
be
got
fine. Like, yeah, that was a good moment to reminisce on for sure.
Yeah. And Wes, you're unique because you're not from Lubbock and you didn't go to tech. And so I wonder if you might kind of provide a little bit about your perspective, what it means for you to get to come back to this place and sort of, you have your own Texas Tech story in a way that's uniquely yours.
Yeah, so growing up, I had a few family members that went to tech. Always watched football games at their house. Growing up, I also, when I was about to graduate high school, I was like thinking like, man, should I go to tech? But I didn't, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I wish I would. I regret it every day now.
It's
and,
fine.
I really do. I really
Hey,
do.
you're here. It all
I'm here
worked
now,
out.
so it's okay.
It all
but,
worked out.
But yeah, just the whole West Texas area. My dad worked out here a lot growing up. When I was little, here farming, so I was out here a lot growing up, and just Lubbock has always been the second home almost, and it means the world to me to be here.
Yeah, and speaking of second home, I don't remember which of you it was, but somebody says that term when they're talking specifically about the blue light. And this kind of is really for any of you, but I just think that, where's Dustin? Is he here? Dustin came. I'm not sure where he's sitting. But the blue light is just a thread that weaves throughout the entire story. And I just wonder, you know, if you might be able to speak to the role and the presence that played in just the success of the band and what it empowered you all to be able to do.
Absolutely, I'd love to. I moved to Lubbock on a Sunday. I was 20 years old, and my parents dropped me off after we built a bunch of, you know, furniture and all that kind of stuff. And
As you do.
my little sister was teared up, and whenever they were walking out the door, and I realized, oh my God, like I'm on my own. And I remember I picked up the phone and called Blue Light's number, and they were closed on Sundays, and so I was a little extra sad. But I'd heard so much about it, and so it gave the whole schedule: Mondays, songwriter night, blah blah blah. And so I went there and had big eyes, and was just felt like it was like walking in a dream. But that bar, I'd heard so much about it, and the whole catch about it is that they only allow you to play original songs, and they encourage that and they promote that. And I foolishly played a cover my first night that I was there. And I was 20 years old, and I don't tell this story to get anybody in trouble, but I remember there was a guy there that saw me walking in with big, you know, googly eyes, and kind of took me under his wing and, where are you from, kid? What's up? And he ended up giving me like a shot or something to burn. And then the next week I went back, or he also encouraged me to go back up and sign up again, and I sang Ain't No Sunshine, and Red Shahan came up there and was like, give me my guitar back. And they put me in timeout, and the next week I came back, and Lance Lusk, who's the other owner there, was putting like a 3/4 inch black X on my hand, and I look up at him, and he's still doing it. And And he goes, that dummy told me he bought you a drink last week, and if you ever drink in here again underage, I'm never going to let you back in here. I'm like, dang it, man, that's a terrible first impression. However, I still went back every week, every Monday for like religiously for 2 years, and it was sometimes you didn't have a new song to play, but they still let you sign up and do your thing, and I believe they're so integral to the success and the proving grounds that Lubbock is for musicians and local artists, because they allow you to showcase what's within you, and they promote it and put you on the radio and say, on Tuesday, Flatland Calvary, and whoever's guy's driving in his truck, might go check it out. And so I without that bar, we would probably be somewhere today, but I don't know, I really feel like we owe them so much, and so many bands and artists do, for what they do for them, for other artists.
Yeah, and there's a lot that when you do so many interviews and you feature so many different scenes that just doesn't make it into the story. And Adam, I don't want to make this up, but you have a kind of unique experience with the Blue Light. Is that where you kind of interacted with this group and kind of met them for the first time, or what was that?
No, that's kind of the funny thing about it is I came into Blue Light after they were already gone. So I met people that they knew, but it was like by proxy. And then eventually it worked out to become a part of the band. But I second everything about everyone can say that about the Blue Light. It is special and all those things. But it was kind of funny to come in after and see their posters and everything, but playing different gigs and then eventually play with them. So
yeah, and you talk about that in the documentary as well too, that this was not maybe your first option, but it was your last option, and that it was the last place that you came in your college journey. And I just wonder, for you in particular, to be able to know sort of the legacy of places like the Blue Light, and to maybe know some of these people, tell me about how all of those pieces kind of came together for you in particular.
It's like a long story. It's weird how all the people. Well, it's also because it's cool how the documentary also did that, because it's show a piece and then bring it back, and that's kind of how things work, which is, serendipitous, as Cleto would say. But I went to Belmont in Nashville for a year, and I studied music there. I learned a lot. I'm from Carlsbad, New Mexico, which is very similar to West Texas, that part of New Mexico, but I went to Tennessee, and it was just too expensive. I went through SPC, and then I ended up at Tech. But I learned a little bit. Even at South Plains, I met the first guy that I would play music with, which led to all the other people that I met, which would lead to these guys. So it was really, a lot of miles traveled, roundabout way kind of thing. But it still feels like home to me in a way, and led me to this. So.
Yeah, I love that. John. There's a Michael Ortiz in the crowd that's really disappointed that you did not wear your Creed shirt, because he liked it so much that he bought one for Thomas for his birthday, and now you two are missing an opportunity to be matching, but you know what?
I texted him this morning and I said, so we're both wearing this tonight, right?
I was very disappointed. I left it at home in
forgot
Fort
it.
Worth.
So, could have been. Well,
We could have been twinsies today.
It's a missed photo opportunity, but you know what? It's fine. Maybe you guys can,
Another time, yeah.
Another time. One of the things that I think is really powerful about the story in the documentary, but also the story of who you guys are, is just, it's the vulnerability with which you kind of operate, and how you sort of live your lives, and the way that you interact with people. And I think that we really saw that from you, that vulnerability, in a really powerful way. And you talked about something that I think oftentimes we don't get to see and we don't talk about when we talk about the adventures and the glamorous lives that you live, but there's also a part of it too that gets really hard sometimes. And so I wonder for you, just to be able to watch that, on the screen, and your family is here with you tonight, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why is that important to go there and to talk about some of that stuff sometimes?
I think that's important because it's real life, It's one day these guys hope to one day have families of their own and have kids. At least that's what I think. And I think they're kind of vicariously living through me to see how it goes,
How to do it. You're
right?
setting an example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm the guinea pig, And, but, my family has been here through it all since the beginning, and they've been so supportive. And it does get hard sometimes. You know, we all these days we don't play so much anymore, and it's made that a lot easier. I get to be home and spend time with my family. But you know, in the years of really trying to make it happen for ourselves, it was hard, you know, but it was worth it.
Yeah. And what makes it worth it for you? Is it to be able to, you know, share the story of getting to headline at Red Rocks for the first time? Is it, you know, getting to come back home? I mean, what's the moment for you that just is almost like the we've kind of made it type of feeling?
I guess, yeah, the whole documentary, seeing how Texas Tech is very proud of us, and they're willing to go out with us for a year and put up with our smelly tour bus and how we operate, and we're very thankful. But I think just, you know, a lot of our families are here tonight, and they all believed that we would be here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Thomas, for you, I mean, and John just mentioned it, that was a year and a half really of production, but it was like 2 years of conversations of like, can we do this? How do we do this? And I wonder if you might just kind of tell us how that happened. I mean, it started really a year and a half ago, but what was the moment for you where you thought, okay, this is bigger, this is more than what our plans are right now?
Yeah, so it originally started, we were having a production meeting one day, and one of our writers kind of pitched the idea of, they saw, you know, that you guys were playing 2 nights at the Buddy Holly. You know, we obviously knew the impact that you guys had around Lubbock and Texas Tech and everything, and so, you know, we just kind of brought the idea of, like, it'd be really cool if we did something with them, you know, whether it's a written story or a video or something like that. And I immediately jumped at the chance to do it. You know, I've been a musician for over half my life, played in bands for forever, continue to do that, and I grew up collecting like live music, concert DVDs, and band documentaries and all that stuff. And so it was just like a really cool chance, I think, for like teenage Thomas to kind of like vicariously like fulfill that dream. And yeah, so we just, you know, we internally pitched the idea and, you know, got the green light, really kind of not even knowing exactly what we were going to do, but we were like, yeah, why not? Like, let's do it. And so called up my friend Scott Ferris and said, hey, like, we would like to do something like this. Can you get us in touch with these guys? And of course, Scott, being the awesome, bubbly, and, you know, character that he is, was like, absolutely, that would be so cool. I will email them right now. And it was a really cool process because, you know, it really wasn't even like it dragged out and we were waiting on an answer for forever. You know, we got I got an email back from Roy, I think within days, and it was like an immediate yes. And it was, you know, Roy said something to the effect of like, we've been waiting on this call or email for like a few years. And so it was just like a really cool moment where it kind of felt like everything was working together to make this thing happen. And then I really felt like through the process that there were 2 moments that I felt like we kind of had this like, oh, this is a lot bigger than like a cool 5 to 10 minute, you know, these guys are from Lubbock and Tech, isn't that neat? Like, and it turned into like a full documentary, and I feel like that was Red Rocks when we were having another production meeting one day, and we were just like, what else can we do? Like, what can we do outside of Lubbock to really like tell their story? And, you know, we just kind of had the wild hair idea of like, well, what if we went on tour with them? And so we you know, looked up the tour schedule and everything, and the 2 dates that I knew in my mind that I wanted to look for were the Grand Ole Opry and Red Rocks. And I think the Opry was the one that we were going to try to go for first, but it's the Grand Ole Opry is the Opry, and sometimes it's hard to get in there, but it ended up working out really, really well because Red Rocks kind of ended up, I think, with you guys, that being the first time that y'all headlined, it was like a much more important date. And I was super excited about it because I was a huge Incubus fan growing up, and one of those DVDs I had was Alive at Red Rocks, and I absolutely wore it out when I was a kid. And so I always told myself, like, if I can ever have an excuse to go to Red Rocks, like, I will. And so it was a really cool thing for me as well to, when we were doing sound check, I had to take like a 30 seconds for like 16-year-old me to go out onto the stage and be like, holy crap, like this is incredible. So yeah, I think when we got like the yes from y'all to come out and do that, I thought that was like a super gracious thing of y'all to do that, but that really took us from, again, just like a cool little 10-minute thing to like we can really like go all out and tell this story. And then the other moment, really quickly, was the 3-car garage when we got to go back to do that. We were sitting around trying to think of like what are some of the things that we could do, and that was around the time that 3-car garage had come out, and I kind of knew some of the backstory on that song, and we just thought, man, it'd be super cool if we could get them back to that garage and play that song. And it is kind of a funny story. I don't know that I've told you all this, but when we went out there to, we had no idea who lived there. We got the address from Roy, and we literally just like cold knocked on their door. And I think the family is here. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So they answered the door, and we kind of had this idea in our head that it was going to be like, Linwood's a college community, so we kind of thought it was going to be, I don't know, maybe a house full of sorority girls that were already huge fans, and they'd be like, oh my God, they lived here? Like, what a crazy thing. And we would all high five, and it'd be great. And we answered the door, or we knocked on the door, and they answered. And I saw that it was them, and I was like, we're not here to sell you anything.
Thank you for opening
Yeah,
the
thank you for
door.
opening the door. And we kind of like gave them the spill. We were like, one, have you ever heard of this band called Flatland Cavalry? And they're just like, so we were like, all right, cool. And so we gave them the pitch of like, this band started out here in this house playing in this garage and all that. And she was like, well, let me talk to my son. It's his house. And so we're like, well, that's great. Here's my number. If you're cool with us, like coming into your garage and doing this thing, just let me know. And, a couple weeks went by and we didn't hear anything. And we were kind of like, we gave it a shot. And then we got a text back from the family saying, we'll clean it out. We'd love to have you here. And we did. And so I really feel like that was a really cool pivotal part in this documentary where it got to, thank y'all. Y'all are awesome. So I think those two moments really were like pretty profound and very supplemental in telling the story. And to where you guys came from. So,
did y'all ever think that you would actually get to go, like what? Yeah, I mean, because it kind of, when Thomas and I and Michael and Jeff, when we started talking about it, we were like, oh, it'd be cool if we could do that. And then we just didn't know until literally Thomas and I showed up and we cold knocked in the middle of the day. But like it's kind of like a pipe dream. Like there are so many places that I wish I could go back to from my past.
Yeah, I feel like the Miranda Lambert song "House That Built Me," which I was singing.
Yes, you were.
In the little.
I was just gonna say that.
Right underneath the bay of the bus. Thank y'all for taking the time and energy and intention to knock on doors and make this happen. I mean, that's so surreal, and I don't believe I can't remember at this time if we even knew that's where we were going, and so it was kind of a surprise, and it was like made it even more special. But it's probably best that we got out of y'all's hair because we probably would have stayed there and drank beer with y'all till. Okay, I know where you live.
Yeah, it was an incredible day. I think you're right, Cleto. They kind of surprised us, and we roll in here. I was like, oh wow, it's through the alley. Yeah, and the doors open. There's a sweet family in there, and I was like, oh, this looks familiar. So yeah, it was. For myself, thank you all again for letting us do that and just come in, because it was incredible. Not often do you get to have those moments where you go back to special places like that.
Yeah. I think that was one of the moments where we just wanted to do something really unique, and it wasn't for the documentary. I think it was for you guys. And I think that part of that was because, like I was saying earlier, there just is this like real like vulnerability. It's like just a very, just the welcoming way that you are, like the warmness with which you kind of do your life. Like we just thought that moment would be really powerful for you guys, and that was what like propelled us to do something like that. And I think that shines through in this. And we've talked a little bit about Scott, but I want to kind of circle back to him a little bit. And again, like there's just this beautiful moment where he's like watching some of the things that you all are saying about him that really capture the way that he has helped put his own fingerprint on the Lubbock scene. And I wonder, I mean, you can maybe speak to that a little bit, John, too, and just like the role that Scott has played for you guys, not only in Lubbock, but you see him, and he's the one that gets to present this like beautiful achievement for you guys on the road. Like, what does he mean to this group?
Like we all have expressed before in the documentary, you know, we believe that if it wasn't for Scott, we wouldn't be who we are today. All the success, all the shows we've gotten, the people we've met. If it wouldn't have been for Scott, all that wouldn't have happened after, you know, that moment. And he was the first producer that believed in Cleto and believed in us enough to let us record there. And he let us do that a couple times. And he also told Cleto, he's like, you know, wherever you want to record, you don't have to record with me forever. You know, you just do what, you know, y'all want to do, and I wish you the best. And he's always been very encouraging, a fellow musician. It's crazy to call him a fellow musician and not just a mentor. But yeah, he's so crucial to our story, and I think, you know, he'll always be with us forever in our story.
I want to add on to that too. You know, like I said, Scott was our first like point of contact with this whole thing, and so had it not been for my relationship with Scott that went back years and years and years before that. You know, I met Scott because I played in a blues band called Black Cat Bone way back in the day with my friend Thomas, who's out here somewhere. Scott let us graciously practice in his previous studio, which I don't know if you've ever been to the previous iteration of Amusement Park Studio. It was much smaller. Setting up my drum kit every week in that place was very interesting. But, you know, without those connections, you know, this whole thing wouldn't have been possible. And so, obviously, special thank you to Scott for. I can't see you. It's dark. but yeah. Special thank you to Scott Ferris for this whole thing.
Cleto, I want to kind of circle back to you because there's this really cool, pivotal sort of arc of life that happens in the documentary where at the beginning you talk about having such big expectations for your first show at the Blue Light, and you're like, 1,000 people are going to come, and then there's like 12 people there, right? And you said like you just knew that people were going to show up for you. And the fact that the last scene in the documentary is like the reality of that. It's like you knew all along that was where you were headed, right? And so I wonder, just for you to be able to kind of like see the circle of life in just the documentary, but also too in just your own life journey, like what that sort of means to you.
I remember when I started to realize that the thoughts that we think people use the term manifest or visualize or whatever have you, but I would have these visions of playing in front of my peers in college. Next thing you know, we're playing at the local on Broadway, and it would be just like I imagined it. And then, fast forward to the blue light thing, I imagined that setting of us playing the show and it being sold out, and it wasn't. And I was discouraged, I think, when you have expectations. But these days, I don't find myself discouraged ever. I'm not really expecting. All you can do is your best, but I feel like you're just grateful that we're still getting to do it. But I think somewhere along the way, I realized that what we think about and what we set our hearts and minds to, and you walk in that direction and you work towards it, starts to happen, And once I realized that, you try to be as fearless as you can in pursuing what you love. And even to this day now, like I feel like the challenge out here is weariness. Weariness is like the enemy. When you get weary, you kind of get apathetic. You can't really have any vision. You just want to go to sleep, really tired. But I still have aspirations of, like, I see the same thing I felt about playing in front of my peers. Like, I see an arena full of people, and I'm like, I'm just keep doing the work, like Scott said, And I wanted to touch base on him too, because a couple of things he's taught me were so pivotal, and one of them was, and I'm sorry to share your stories, Scott, I hope this is cool, but he had told me that his dad flew planes back in the day for the military, and his father told him, whatever it is that is within your heart to do, I just want you to feel the same way that I feel when I fly those airplanes. And Scott believed in us. Like, he knew that we had a lot of work to do, but even just one person believing in you, and you're crazy enough to believe that you can, start a band and be successful and all these things, he believed in it too before anyone else did, because someone believed in him. And so I feel like that's another thing that's, I encourage everybody out there, if you believe in yourself and each other, and you literally can do anything. So, like, I just encourage you to do that, whatever it is that I was telling Jason in the car ride up here that I feel like you either know what you want to do or you don't. It's like you're either 50%, one of those categories. And when you realize what you want to do, then you wake up every day with a purpose, and there's no bad days. You just work one step at a time, towards your ideal. And so, yeah, and I'm thankful, and I give credit to my mom and dad as well, who believed in me. When I started taking a liking in music, right after high school, I turned 18, they bought me a PA where I would go take it around, a little PA on a stick, and I'd go put that sucker in the back of my truck after I got home from work and go play gigs, and they just always believed in me. And so, yeah, just having someone believe in you is just a beautiful thing, and then we all believe in each other. I believe that genuinely. Like, any of these guys want to start a crypto coin or something, I don't know, like, whatever it is, you can do it. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for being the great ambassadors of Texas Tech that you are as individuals and as a group. We are just deeply grateful that you guys have allowed us to kind of come alongside you and to live some life with you, and that you've taken us on the road and that you let us be part of your story. It just means so much. And so I speak for all of our marketing communications team. I speak for all of Texas Tech University when we say that we are just so thankful for you guys and for all that you've shared here tonight. Can we get another round of applause? There are 100 kids here, 100 students that are eagerly waiting for you guys, and I just don't want to keep them any longer. But I want to thank all of you guys for coming and being part of tonight, and I want to make just a couple of announcements. The documentary is going to go live on our YouTube channel on Thursday. So share it with your friends and families and every stranger that you encounter. There's merchandise available for you to peruse there in the courtyard here. Thank you guys. One more round of applause. Come on for Flatland Capital.